How can mompreneurs build brand loyalty with their target audience from the start?
Okay, so I'll say that loyalty starts with relationship first. And in order to build a relationship, there needs to be a give that you're starting with first before ever expecting a return from your customer base.
Hello, welcome to Monetizing Mompreneurs podcast, where I take you behind the scenes with industry leaders, entrepreneurs, moms, working professionals, and amazing people pursuing their passions and going for their dreams. And I'm your host, Linda Mendable.
Hi, it's Linda, and I would absolutely love if you can give us a review, whether it's on Spotify, iHeart, or Apple. I want to know if this podcast is resonating with you. Do you love the podcast? I would love to hear from you. So please leave us a review. It helps me know if I am in the right area to serve you. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Until next time. Liv, go ahead and kick us off.
Okay, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Liv Stribling-Robeson. I am a brand strategist and the founder of Live to Create. We're a creative brand agency that partners with impact-driven womenpreneurs. And so what do you mean by womenpreneurs that are, driven to make a impact in the world? Those are your speakers, your authors, your coaches, consultants, and nonprofit leaders. And what we do at Live to Create, we love to partner with women who have a mission tied to their brand and a story. And we visualize that through graphic web design and strategic sales materials to help drive their business forward. And so I'm super excited to be a part of Mompreneur Summit because, Linda, you've done just an amazing job of the community that you built and the resources and the experts that you've gathered. And so if I can do anything to drive your mission forward, I'm really happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jessie.
Liv, that was a beautiful introduction. I just have to say, that was awesome. I'm Jessie Halverson. I run all things Mom Elevated, and we help mom entrepreneurs on their journey to increase their impact and income without breaking the bonds that they have with their babies through strategies, systems, and organization. So I just use all of the experience of my past 10 years as a virtual assistant, and then also having 3 kids myself, building that business and knowing the ins and outs of what goes into that. And I bring that into the coaching and mentorship side of things. So I have a one-on-one mentorship, and then I have a membership group as well, which is super fun. We're actually in the middle of our Gift Yourself Grace series right now, and that stands for goals, relationships, actions, connections, and expectations that we reflect on. So, super fun.
Nina?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Nina Macarie. I am a dreamer, wife, and mom of 2 based in Romania. And I am a visibility expert and podcast manager because I love all things audio. I am very passionate about supporting other moms with putting out there more audio content because I know we are busy. And I also started as a VA, and then I tried different things, but I stumbled on podcasting and fell in love with it because it reminded me of this time when I was a kid and my grandfather used to listen to the radio. And I loved all those stories that we were listening, and that allowed me to dream big and to ask myself different questions. And I feel the same way about podcasting. Maybe you do your laundry, you need to, run some errands, and you are playing these podcast episodes that allow you to dream about a better life, about a bigger business, and then you will go and you will put that into action. So this is why I love podcasting. This is why I love the power of audio. And this is what I love to do, and support other moms do the same.
Amen. Lucy, who's joining us in Facebook, says that's a great way to look at podcasting. Amen. Yeah. I mean, I do have a few questions for you all prepared. We officially kick things off at 12:30. We have about 5 minutes. So is there anything, so we were talking about hiring. Is there anything anyone would like to say about like maybe tips or something that they learned or what they're thinking of or who they're needing to hire? Because I know, Nina, you haven't hired yet. Who would be your first hire? So yeah, let's go into that.
I think the first person that I would hire is someone to handle my social media channels because it's not my thing. I know that it's important for us as business owners to have a presence online, but it's not where my energy goes. So that would be the first person I would hire.
I love the clarity that you have around that.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like when I was a virtual assistant and people ask me that question, I would always say, well, make a list of the things that you do daily, weekly, monthly, and then figure out the things you like to do, the things you don't like to do. Or even if you like it, if it's taking up too much of your time, those are going to be the first things that you want to start offloading, because then you'll be able to focus more on the things that you do well that bring in more income. Because, people always talk about ROI, but when you first hire, that ROI isn't necessarily going to be financial. It's going to be time so that you can bring in more clients. So it's kind of a give and take and looking at things in a different perspective, different way. Yeah.
So, Jesse, I love that. So earlier, before we started recording, I shared like the hiring a VA has taught a lot about me. And Nina, you mentioned earlier about the tension of delegating. So one of my first challenges with my VA was a design project that I had delegated. Well, I'm a creative. Before I'm a business owner, I'm a forever creative. I'm always going to have that bone in my body. And so the tension I've been having is the things that I'm good at that need to be delegated, but the things that like I still kind of want to hold on to. And so part of the VA process, the learning lesson for me is finding the right people that going back to what I said about trusting, like trusting the right people who can represent, who understand the vision and can do it like in excellence. And not to say that there's not VAs out there who don't do an excellence, but like in the same sense of your point of view. And so that's been my challenge. I thought I needed someone to be more technical, but actually my next hire is going to be someone who's more strategic. I really, really need an operations manager more than anything else. Because while the technical things need to get done, more importantly, the process needs to be figured out. Like the process, the systems, the tools. And I need someone who can understand where I'm going and how to build a roadmap to get there versus like, oh, the steps are laid out. I'm just executing steps. And so shameless plug, if you know someone who is an OBM and an amazing strategist, I am actively looking, but for real, that's my critical need as I grow. And for 2025 to be successful, my next recruit would really be someone who's more operation minded.
Amen. Amen. So welcome to Monetizing Mompreneurs Moms Get Social event, live event. We're doing our panel discussion. We're having a few more panelists come in. This is being streamed into Monetizing Mompreneur Facebook group. We have 2.4K members in our Facebook group, and we invite people to come on and join, network, ask our speakers, panelists questions, because I feel like this is important for us as stay-at-home moms, as monetizing mompreneurs, really important for us to gather, right? And make friendships possibly online and glean from one another. So I really feel like these types of spaces are really, really important as we grow our email list, or as we grow our own communities. And our question is, how do you find the right hire? Because I've been going through just a weird season that I just can't show up on social media as I would like to. But Dallas has been like, she's my VA. I know you all have been in contact with Dallas. She's been absolutely amazing, but it's taken some time to know who is the right person for your team. So how have you guys discovered your right person? Who is going to be your next hire or your first hire? That is what we are discussing this morning. We haven't heard from Courtney or Kimberly, which are our two other.
Hi. Yeah, I just
introduce yourself. Yeah, why don't you guys first introduce yourself?
Yeah, and so like, can we just come off of mute? Because like, I do have some thoughts on hiring.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm Kimberly Tara. I'm a CPA and certified tax coach. We partner with CEO mom service providers to implement tax strategy and tax preparation in their business so that they can keep more of their money and spend more time with their kids and family. So that's what I do. And we just went through about a year ago, exactly the hiring process, and it was incredibly stressful, very stressful. So the first hire didn't work out. So I think that's my first piece of advice is sometimes you have to know when to let go. And so letting go of the first person who wasn't a good fit and accepting that we weren't a good fit was huge. And then I also did a lot of the personality type tests, right? So like not Myers-Briggs. Is it Myers-Briggs? Is that the ENTJ one or something like that?
The Enneagram.
There's the Enneagram. I think there's the Myers-Briggs. There's the Clifton Strengths, right? Like there's like 4 of them that I had our potential candidates go through because we were looking for, I feel like I can teach tax, right? I can teach tax strategy to somebody coming in. What I can't teach them is how to cultivate the relationship that we cultivate with our clients, how to treat our clients as quality over quantity, because that is the core principle of so many other CPA firms out there, right? Is how do we just get more clients? We're on this hamster wheel. Hurry, 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 rush, rush, rush. And so those were the qualities that I couldn't teach as much. And so I think that knowing the personality types and knowing who they were as a person, more so than just the roles and skills and experience, that was a huge game changer for me.
Yeah, amen. I mean, shoot, sometimes our first one, it doesn't work out. like, and sometimes it does. I mean,
yeah. And you know what? It was a learning experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I think when you get recommendations, like Dallas what came in in a recommendation for me, and she's like been knocking things out, and I just been like, maybe recommendations is words. Maybe I'm at that level that I use my own network and say, hey, do you recommend anyone? I'm looking for someone that does XYZ.
Yep.
I know that I've sat down with some incredible women, and someone said to me one time that the first hire was a online business manager. And that's what was her first hire. Who was your first hire, Kimberly?
So I had a part-time administrative assistant when I was a solopreneur, and I thought that I was going to be a solopreneur for forever. But my first actual hire was another tax accountant who could help me fulfill in the client side because I was on this hamster wheel of, okay, well, I need to fulfill for the clients, but I also need to market, but I also need to be a mom, but I also need to do the operations, right? And I would never let the client work suffer. And so everything else in my business took a backseat to that. And so I was never getting over that hill, right? And so I think that the first best hire in your business is somebody who can help you do the work for your clients to free you up to do that other CEO work.
Yes, absolutely. Amen. Courtney, tell us about you, what you do, and your first hire or who you're looking for.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Linda. I'm Courtney Richard, founder of Inside Out Media Group, as well as Inside Out with Courtney and Inside Out Worldwide. Everything I do is Inside Out, right? Yes. And so for me, being in marketing and PR, doing all the things and just writing and showing up for all this stuff, having a VA is just so good. And the way that I love to look at this, because we communicate on Voxer. And the thing that I love about it is like I could be where I'm at in my office at home and she's where she is way on the other side of the states. And it almost feels like when we're Voxering, like she's like in the front office. It's just so fun, and she's getting things done and she's like, okay, I took care of this and I took care of that. And I'm waiting on this response. And I'm just like, I love it. And so it's really just awesome to be able to have that person that you feel like is just your your right hand person, especially when you know that you need help. And then just really thinking about budget, right? For the month. Like what can you actually budget for that assistant if you need it, whoever it is, and really thinking about your team. Like who needs to be on that dream team? If it's a VA, if it's a video person, someone to do edits, or right now I'm in the process of building my team. So this is a really good topic. And just realizing like who I need to hire, having meetings, vetting people, knowing their prices and things like that so that we can have that. And then it's virtual, right? We do a lot of virtual things. So I can hear you.
Yeah, amen. Amen. So I think you got to be strategic on the team members that you hire. And for one thing, I have a list of questions that I asked GPT to, you know, how many of you guys are using Chat GPT? I mean, I see everybody's hand raised up. So I love ChatGPT as a web designer. I actually take what my clients give me and I use ChatGPT to create their brand voices and get their copy. So I think that's a really cool way to like I really feel like use all the apps that you possibly can before you make that hire. That's what I believe. Like, search, like for me, ChatGPT was one of those things. Like I try to maximize, like for a social media manager, I have Missing Letter as an app, right? That blasts into all these other points. And now Dallas takes care of a lot of the Missing Letter and she makes sure that it's all good and she blasts them out. But I really feel like using the apps as much as you can and then understanding like, okay, what can I outsource here? Because you can train someone and just outsource that area that they can use that app, in the way that you were using it. And so I have a few questions I have here. So this one is because I asked GPT to ask questions for each one of you guys. So this one is for Kimberly. This is straight from ChatGPT.
All right. I don't use ChatGPT a lot because tax world.
Okay. How can mompreneurs create a sustainable financial plan for their business? That was ChatGPT. Oh. That wasn't me.
Cool. Let's do it. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do is if you don't have a handle, okay, first, let me back up. First thing is you have to be okay looking at your numbers. I cannot tell you how many moms and women that we work with, and they just say, I don't know, right? Because there is this inherent fear of looking at the numbers. But what if the numbers are good? The numbers tell you a story, good or bad. And you need to look at the numbers to be able to create your financial plan and to be able to make data-driven decisions, right? So for me, that is always my step one is this is not something that is ignorance is bliss. Hand it off to ChatGPT, outsource it right away, right? This is something that you as the CEO, you need to know this information. You need to understand this information because it is the backbone for the success, the long-term success of your business, right? And we hear all about these overnight successes, right? I made 7 figures in my first year. And by the way, what those women aren't telling you is that they spent $900,000 in ads to generate that $1 million in revenue, and they're not really paying themselves. So that's a soapbox that I could get on for a different day. But you have to be aware of your numbers. This is something that you have to look at and be aware of so that you can make decisions. So that is always my very first recommendation to having a stable financial plan, to understanding where you're coming from, where you are, where you're going, know where you need help, know where you need to make changes, know who you need to outsource to get that help from. And then the next thing I would say is I don't love the word budget because I'm more of like an abundance mindset type person. Like, I wanted to outsource someone. So now that I have my tax accountant, I'm really looking to bring on more of a full-time VA administrative assistant, someone to help us in the marketing realm. And so, we talked about what her number would be each month to come on full time as an employee. And I was like, okay, so I know how many clients I need to go get and do tax strategy for and support them and make sure that they're taken care of with what I do so well. And then I can hire you to do the things that are in your zone of genius and that I don't want to do and that you do better and faster. And so while I do believe we should live in a world of abundance, I do think that you have to start somewhere, right? And we have to make sure that we are not spending more than we're bringing in. Or if you really want to invest in something, purchase something, hire someone, know what you need, go out and make it happen with what you do best, and then make that investment down the road once you have the cash secure.
I love that. And you're so right. Like, I look at these people, I'm like, you know what? You don't know the profits and loss statements, right? We don't know the profits and loss
Nope.
statements. And that's why, like, what I always invest in is like what I need. Like, I know I need this type of information. So that's where I put my investments in when it comes to online courses and things like that. Anything that I'm missing. And that's why I tell people, like, if they're creating their course, right? They want to monetize online, think about like a specific need within your niche. That's one
Yep.
need. I think that's the most important way to go about it, because sometimes people put such generalized things out there, like, oh,
Yep.
build an online business. But if you put a life skill that they can learn around your expertise, I feel like that's a lot better.
Yeah.
And it'll be more profitable than it is.
And you'll be happier too, right? Because again, when we live in our zones of genius, that is when we thrive. And then I really firmly believe that not only am I making an impact on the CEO moms' lives that we're working with, right? What a gift to give somebody $3,000 back in their pocket every month, right? For a lot of our clients, that's less work that they have to do. But the other part of it is we're making that impact on our clients' lives, but I am making an impact on my team's lives, right? Because I'm creating a firm and a culture where they don't have to work 80-hour work weeks during tax season. And I tell them, go to the family picnic on Friday. And, she's like, but it's a 30-hour drive away. I don't care. Go to the family picnic and work an extra half hour later today, right? I don't care as long as you get your work done. And so not only are we making an impact on our clients, but I'm getting to make an impact in other moms' lives who work as a part of our firm and creating a balance for them, even though they don't own their own business.
Yes. Amen. We have a question here. Kimberly, thank you so much. I got 5 questions for each of y'all, but we're gonna go one by one. ChatGPT for the win. The next question is, Liv, let me see. How can mompreneurs build brand loyalty with their target audience from the start?
Okay. So I'll say that loyalty starts with relationship first. And in order to build a relationship, there needs to be a give that you're starting with first before ever expecting a return from your customer base. And so, and I'll give an example. So for those who are new to the chat or to the stream, I own a creative brand agency, and we work specifically with speakers, authors, coaches, and they're naturally impact driven businesses. So giving is a part of their business model. So it comes easy to them. So for those who are more retail focused, those who are more product based, etc., every business still has a brand. And so your brand is how people identify and talk about you when you're not in the room. It's how you make them feel. It's how the image they have in their mind about you. It's how they communicate about you to other people. And so the loyalty that you're looking for is based on relationships. So think about your customers as an extension of your brand and how you would want to treat them. And so giving can look like information. So what Kimberly just mentioned about the quality over quantity, her customers know that when they engage with her, there's going to be a relationship where the firm cares about them. If it's a product-based business, that you have quality products that aid to a solution to their problem. If it's service-based, it's making sure that you're giving it in excellence. And at the end of the day, you just want to lead with integrity. And that's one of our values as a business. We want to treat people in a way that honors not just us, but honors our clients. And so I think that people, when they feel that they have that trust, that honor, and that relationship, they're going to naturally be loyal, because at the end of the day, you've set the precedent for the relationship, and they now feel the willingness to stay attached. Because at the end of the day, you can't force clients to stay with you. So there has to be something in it for them. And now they are willing and more than able, and they want to advocate. So for me, I would say actually it's not really necessarily loyal. The ultimate goal is ambassadors. You want people who are so enthusiastic about the service that you provide. They want to shout it to the rooftops. And it may not necessarily be on social, but again, it's how are they talking about you when you're not in the room? That's when you know you've established a positive and a mutually beneficial relationship that leads to loyalty.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Wow. I'm surprised. It was ChatGPT. I wasn't putting you on the spot. That was ChatGPT.
But I'll say this, and this is very cliche. So I'm not saying anyone who uses this to stop using it, but you've heard this token, serving is giving, or giving is serving, something along those lines. While it may be overused, there still is truth to that. At the end of the day, even if you are a product or retail-based business, we are humans serving other humans. And so I think in the advent of technology and mass information and over socialization, we have sometimes in businesses forgotten that we are humans servicing other humans.
Yes.
Oh, that's something that's very important to us to make sure we don't lose that human factor.
Hi, guys. Okay, so next question is for Courtney. How can mompreneurs effectively use PR to build their brand without a large budget?
I would say there's a lot of things that you can do, actually. If you don't have a budget, then start thinking about a podcast tour to get your voice out there. Start thinking about the types of podcasts that you want to be on and create your list. And the way you can go about doing this, if you're connected to a lot of people, so look in your friend list and see who are podcast hosts. Go to Instagram, see who are podcast hosts. And of course, you can do a Google search and look at that as well. But just decide, okay, this is the show I want to be on. Go to their website, see if there's a form that you can go ahead and fill out and begin getting your voice out there, because podcasting is a thing, whether it's video podcasting or whether it's just, being in someone's ears, because people are on the go a lot and they're picking and choosing their podcast that they can listen to be able to grow in. And so you're on these different platforms, you're talking about something in your niche, you're actually having an offer. So you can offer that at the end of your talk, or maybe they may ask it in the middle of it and you talk around that. And that's just a great way, even get into the show notes, right? And it's a great way to connect with your freebie or to, join your coaching or your mentorship program, whatever it is that you have, a product or a service or something that you are offering during that time. But a podcast circuit, if you don't have the money to be able to afford, you can do your own PR. You can do your own PR. It really is about just reaching out. Even if you want to be on a talk show or a television show, or you want to write for someone, you just reach out. All they can say is no, right? And then make sure that you have about 10 questions that you want them to ask you, because they're always going to ask, okay, do you have any questions? Because you know your topic better than anyone else, right? And so just make sure that you have that, as well as a media kit, because sometimes media will want that. They'll say, do you have a media kit or a press kit? And so you can really go ahead and create that on Canva. You can search media kits and you can create that for yourself. And then that way you can go ahead and plug that onto your website, or just have a PDF ready to go if someone asks you about that. But PR is really about the ask. It's reaching out. So you don't have to hire a big firm. You don't have to hire a big team. Of course, we do that, PR and marketing. But I think I would say a podcast circuit, get your voice out there. It's huge right now.
Yeah, amen. I mean, I think that's hard, right? For us to pitch ourselves. I know for me, I don't like pitching in any way. It's really hard. It's kind of like, it's just putting yourself out there, right? Like, oh my gosh. And then getting rejected, that hurts, right? Like, oh, they didn't want me. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't doing this enough. What would you say, Courtney? I'm going to, piggyback off of that, but because I want to know this part, is what would you say is like the top things that people are looking for, like top 3 things that media outlets are looking for or podcasters that are looking for, so we can, pitch ourselves?
They're always looking for a good story. So believe it or not, they're looking for you. So if you have a good story, make sure you have your story together. If you've gone through something traumatic, something hard, make sure that that's easy to be able to be displayed on your website. Media is old school. I will have to say they will go to social media just to kind of get an idea of, who you are, how do you talk, how do you present yourself, what are you doing out there? Are you a good representation for their platform? But they're old school. And so they are going to go to your website. So it's really, really good to have your website on there. Make sure your about page is up to date and clear. Make sure you have all of your ways to contact you, whether it's your assistant or your info at. However it is that they can reach you, that is good. The other thing I want to say something really quick too. You mentioned if you get those no's, the fear of rejection. And one of the things that I like to say is reject rejection and keep moving on. You have to reject the rejection because there are going to be some yeses, there's going to be some no's. But if you get that rejection and you're sunken, it's like, no, stop right there. I'm going to encourage you to just stop right there and say, nope, I'm going to make the next call. I'm going to get in the inbox message. I'm going to go ahead and email the next person. That show may have told me no. That podcast may have told me no. That's okay. I'm moving on to the next one because I'm waiting for that yes. So you may make 100 calls. I've literally made like 60 inbox messages, like went in their audio message, 60 in a day, right? Reaching out and you'll get those yeses. So reject rejection. If you get it, reject it, move on.
I love that. That's so good. Okay, ChatGPT, let's go. Nina. Nina, how do you recommend mompreneurs get started with podcasting? Since we are talking about getting that's part of our free, look at that. ChatGPT is good. Like everybody predicted the next type of question.
Yes. So actually I use ChatGPT and then I also put the same prompt into Claude and then I try to see which one do a better job for my voice. And sometimes it's ChatGPT, other times it's Claude. So it's interesting to see the results I get. So in order for you to start, I think that here it's different on how confident do you feel as a speaker. And maybe, if you already, for example, I didn't feel comfortable. Like it was a long journey for me to show up on podcast interviews and summits and things like that. But there are other people who already have their own podcast and want to guest on other people's shows. So let's say that if you are a seasoned podcaster, you are going to get those yeses a little bit easier because people will recognize that you already have a voice, you know how this works, so it's going to be a little bit easier for you. But if you don't, and if you want to practice a little bit, I would join networking events where you can meet other people and then, having those conversations in those breakout rooms, it's a little bit easier. And you get to practice your message. You share, a little bit about you, how you started. Actually, this is usually the first question a podcast host will ask you, what you do and how did you get to do what you do today, right? And by practicing this a little by little, you're becoming more confident. And then Liv was talking earlier about building relationships. So you need to nurture those relationships. For example, if let's say that Liv has a podcast and her audience would be a good fit for me, then obviously I would connect with her on socials. I would DM her a little bit. I would like her post, comment on her posts, and right. So it's important to build that relationship first. And then you can ask them if, hey, can you have me on your podcast? Actually, there is an entire framework that I have on how to pitch yourself. But I think that it's easier to see For example, what courses and programs do you buy? Do those people have a podcast? Because when you are a student doing your best in a program or a membership or a course, obviously, if that owner has a podcast, is going to want to spotlight you. And this is, again, another way for you to build that confidence. And just look at your Facebook list. Who are your friends? And which one of them has a podcast? Because it's easier to have this conversation when you are talking to a friend as opposed to having a podcast interview with a person that you've never met before. So I think this is how actually I started. I started getting featured on those podcasts of business owners that I bought from. And then little by little, I went on coffee chats and met other people. And just by sharing your passion and your mission, I sometimes got the invite to be on their podcast. So this is how I would start. And then, as Courtney said, you can do like a Google search. You can use your podcast players as a research tool. And this is how you are going to find more podcasts for you to get featured. And if you want to stay organized with all these findings, I will invite you to download my freebie. And that is a podcast guesting tracker that is going to help you keep all the details in one place, because otherwise it's going to be so confusing, because you will want to have a lot of details in order for you to pitch the right way. You will want to stock them a little bit on social media, on their website. As Courtney said, you will want to have your website updated because they are going to look at your social. They will want to see that you are a good speaker. And this is how you will show them, if you don't have your own podcast, your website and your social media channels are going to be a testimony that you are a speaker.
My Freedom Cart is a one-stop shop online for all your household reusables and consumables, as well as toiletries. We're talking about toothpaste, body wash, skincare, makeup, snacks, and coffee, laundry, dish soap, baby wipes, hair care, over 500 products at your fingertips. They have their own high-end line of vitamins, medicines, and supplements to keep your family and babies healthy. And if this wasn't enough for you to ditch things that are full of toxins, so these products are safe, toxics-free, made right here in America, and yes, like I said, toxic-free. Stop exposing yourself and your kiddos to harmful toxins inside the home and get everything you need affordably. You could do your shopping online and have all your home consumables sent right to your front door at Amazon prices, all without one set going to any cause that doesn't align with your values. So, are you in? Join our exclusive club today and start voting with your dollars while creating a toxic-free home and saving money. Every time you shop, a portion of your dollars go to support multiple pro-life foundations. P.S. We do not just love this company, but I am also a shopper. So go to myfreedomcart.com/mom and submit your info to join.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a chance, stop by the website at lindamendable.com and join us over at Monetizing Mompreneurs Facebook group. I just want to say again, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.